Today's presentation is going to be on the future of talent, and really it's just marketing insights and hiring strategies from what we see at our lens at Talent Traction that we believe is going to bring massive impact to the marketplace over the next 1 to 2 years. So just a brief overview. I'm going to give a brief 2025 employment trends update, and then go over the 3 key themes, and we'll wrap it up from there. So workforce disruption, basically going over the demographic shifts that we're seeing, retention gaps, bringing clarity around culture and career paths and how that could help the retention gap that we're facing. And then the last one is, I'm sure we've all heard a lot about, but from our lens, AI. So let's start at 30,000 feet and work our way down. Today, we're specifically talking about the United States, right? So we're currently at 340 million in terms of a total population. And this was according to the Census Bureau of 2024. So obviously it's grown a little bit since then, but this is the latest data that we actually have. We've probably all heard the term labor force or workforce, CNN, Fox News, Bloomberg, wherever you may get your information from. It's a simple calculation. It's the employed plus the unemployed, and it's important that we note that for the purpose of a few of the slides I'm about to show. And the unemployment rate is simply the unemployed divided by the labor force. So this is the latest data that we have, and we're looking at 171 million individuals in today's labor force versus 166.7 million people year over year. And that's actually 2.5% increase, or almost 4.5 million people versus last year. So great in terms of absolute numbers. However, if we look at the labor force participation rate, I think this is more important of the conversation of the 30,000 foot view. We could see that we are at 62.6%, and we just haven't recovered since pre-COVID. So that gray bar in the middle is the recession of pre-COVID, and you can see the blue line representing the labor force participation rate, and we've just simply never recovered. Here's a bit longer look back of that same calculation, and you can see it's just gradually decreased over time. This is a 25-year look back. So you also have 2 other recessions that we're showing with the gray bars. And one calculation that we made was, we said, let's take a look at what the labor force would be if we had the same participation rate as we did just before all the COVID layoffs happened. And we would actually have 1.2 million more people in the labor force today if we had the same participation rate as we once did. This is total job openings in the US. So there's currently 7.6 million job openings according to Bureau of Labor Statistics. It's come down quite a bit off of its high of 12 million plus back in 2022. And what's interesting to note is we have 6.8 million unemployed. So you may be asking, how do we have so many unemployed and so many job openings? We believe it's just a skills differentiation in terms of what people are looking for are not available, and what employers are looking for, there's a bit of a skills gap. The next slide we're looking at is our unemployment rate. So we're still in a very tight unemployment rate or labor market in terms of standard and norms. Now, certainly it's eased, but we're currently at a 4.2% unemployment rate, and historically 4 to 5% is what we consider standard or even a tight labor market of closer to that 4%. Again, this is a almost 25-year look back now, and you could see it's still quite low. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce had a pretty cool slide that I thought was interesting to share. And basically, it shows us a 20-year look back of job openings versus unemployed. You can see that the job openings soared after COVID, remaining higher than unemployment, but now they are coming back much closer to and converging together in terms of job openings and the actual unemployed. CPI is also something that we like to keep a pulse on. And really what this means is employee cost of living has really gotten quite expensive when we look at price of anything, including rent, et cetera, et cetera. Of course, we see energy coming down, but cost of living has certainly gone up quite a bit in recent years. I did this poll on my own personal LinkedIn. You could see food and groceries, where most folks are feeling the impact. Again, small data set, but we have a lot of folks that answered this, and then followed by housing and rent. So I'm sure this could be something that you can relate to, or individuals on your team. So here's key takeaways that we'll provide after this um, um, share, and could be a something that you take back with you in terms of everything that I just spoke about. Now we're going to jump into the workforce disruption. So we wanted to ask, okay, who left the workforce and really haven't returned since 2020? 65-year-olds and plus were the largest, followed by 20 to 24-year-olds. The only folks that didn't leave, or if anything increased, were 25 to 54-year-olds. Another interesting note is 55% of peak boomers will retire over the next 5 years. And why is that important to us? It's a huge wealth of knowledge that's going to retire, right? Typically, these are our leaders within the companies. And although they plan to retire in the next 5 years, they're actually going to be quite a few of them retire early due to health issues or layoffs that may happen. So this is looking at prime age men specifically, because there's a large amount of them that are not in the workforce or unemployed. So if we look at the blue first, this is unemployed but no longer in the workforce. So what does that actually mean? We're not counting them as part of the workforce, because after a certain period of time, let's say 6 months to a year, the BLS actually no longer is consider them as part of the labor force. And then, and even if they are supposedly looking for work, they just don't count them anymore. And the number one reason why they left is due to physical, mental, or behavioral health reasons. So these are individuals that have left the actual labor force. Now, if we look at the yellow or light green, these are the unemployed. So that means they don't have a job, but they're actively looking. So they are left their last role within the past 12 months, but they're still actively looking for roles. This is considered unemployed by the BLS. And the number one reason, 48% of them are unemployed, is because they are having difficulty finding work. So according to TransUnion, research conducted in October 24, more than half of US adults are actually working on a gig platform. And gig platform workers aren't counted part of that Bureau of Labor Statistics data that we always hear about. One of the most important generations to look at, or shifts, is Gen Z. Gen Z actually makes up close to 20% of the workforce. So almost 1 in 5 of every worker. They are also the most talked about on the phone to me when it comes to hiring managers not really understanding them. So just a couple interesting notes from a McKinsey study that we found. Gen Z is the least motivated by money. In fact, they were the only group not to rank it as the top 2 reasons for leaving a company. Gen Z, oh, sorry about that. Gen Z gave flexibility the highest rank, and flexibility its highest rank, and is probably the best way to retain them. So if you can give them flexibility in any way, there's a great way that you could retain them. And also, the number one reason why they leave a job is because there's no career development or growth opportunity. Gen Z is also the generation that is most impacted when it comes to their performance and all the factors listed here on this slide. So they're most sensitive to all these situations. The blue being Gen Z on the right, and then the average of all other generations on the left being the left circle. We had a case study back in 2023 where there was 22 turndowns of actual offers, and this is from a partner of a very well-known firm within the Pinnacle Society called Premier Financial Search. So they had 22 total downturns, meaning that they were given an offer to a candidate and they actually denied it. So the founder there found that Gen Z are actually very risk averse. They refuse to have difficult conversations, and they prefer electronic communication. So they really don't like to upset people. So they'll say yes, when oftentimes really we find out later they really meant no. So what they did was they changed their SOPs internally, because this is a total shift in terms of the way that we give offers and go through hiring processes. They came up with a candidate commitment. And this is where upfront you're learning as a candidate for Gen Z, but for all candidates, we do this, and so does this other group now. Understand every step of the way that it's okay that at any point in time that you do not want to move forward with the role, you could bow out at any time. So in 2024, after implementing this, Alan Fisher, the founder, had 0 downturns for all of 2024. So pretty amazing how he had so many folks turn down his offers, and then for his clients, and then by implementing this strategy of basically transparency and setting alignment up front, was able to mitigate that throughout the whole year. So workforce disruptions, key takeaways. Again, we'll leave this for you as a takeaway, but basically the boomer exodus, Gen Z changes, the health and workforce gaps that we're seeing. And we'll move on to the next piece, which is the retention gap, clarity, and culture and career paths. So we did a study where 343 candidates or employees of our own database were polled. And the top 3 words that they listed for why they would stay with a company are loyalty, security, and stability. So anything that you can do to align for your company's culture with this will be of interest to candidates or current employees in the marketplace. So do KPIs and job clarity affect retention? So we asked a simple question: does your job have well-defined, concise, and clear goals? On average, the response landed a 6.7 out of 10. And that means most employees felt that they have some direction, but many still lack clarity. 55% of employees that took this survey also would consider a new job. So we could fix this. We can define expectations more clearly, communicate better, and set measurable goals that help every employee feel confident in their role. So I think the major takeaway here is every single role within an organization should have 3 to 5 very specific KPIs that someone is hitting, that's met or striving for, that's measurable, that it lines up to the company's overall mission vision, but that they could track towards on a yearly basis. And that's from the admin assistant maybe answering the front door all the way to sales leaders within the organization. So employees' perceptions of growth and value and how they feel within a company. And the average score for this was 3.1. So we felt that there were some areas of improvement, and transparent communication and transparent feedback are important. So any way we could provide that, providing mentorship and coaching opportunities for career development, and celebrating employee milestones and recognizing, achieving, and boosting engagement. Salary satisfaction and retention risks. So overall, the candidates that took this were 3 out of 5. And they also felt that, and 2.9 out of 5, or 54.6% of employees were considering a new job due to salary satisfaction and overall retention around comp due to all the inflation that they're facing. So key takeaways from this survey that we took, retaining talent is all about really having clear job expectations, making sure that you have growth potential and life balance, attracting employee reviews on social media, competitive comp, and growth plan. Like, candidates really do look you up on social media. It's important for retention to have competitive growth and compensation, along with having obviously a strong leadership to set the mission vision. We still see return to office as being sticky. We see that basically Trump, when he first took office, really saying everyone's got to come back to work. Traditional industries like Jamie Dimon, the head of JP Morgan, also saying basically it's time to come back to work. But we definitely still see this friction on on a lot of candidates and companies, and especially in like the tech industry where they really don't feel like they have to come back. But many traditional industries, like where we work in, a lot are fully back in the office. So just some key takeaways here for you. And again, we will give you a takeaway with the key highlights after the end of this presentation. So on to AI transformation and hiring. So how about hiring 20,000 people without a human? Could you imagine that? Well, it's already been done. FedEx hired 20,000 people without one human. This is the type of disruption that's coming for me and people with my title, or so they say. But as recruiters and talent acquisition, we must not fear, we must embrace this change. Or how about from a candidate standpoint? From a candidate perspective, you could even use it to apply to 1,000 jobs and get 50 interviews overnight. But really, how can we in HR or talent use this um, and implement in our daily basis, right? So I'm sure that we're all already aware that ChatGPT or Google Gemini could write us better job descriptions. We could create content and be relevant for our employer brand in ChatGPT. We could also come up with questions for your interviews and have professional headshots taken. So for fun, I loaded these into one of the apps, and literally took me 30 seconds to load these up. And then this is what it spit out. And then just like this, you could truly attract, if you know what I mean. Just kidding. But this is actually what it made. And this is actually my LinkedIn profile. So I didn't have to go to um, an actual photographer. I saved $400 from a professional headshot because that's what it costs near where I live in New York. And I probably didn't burn 2 to 4 hours of my time. Instead, I paid $50, loaded 4 to 6 normal pics, and now I have all these different, literally like 20, 30 different headshots that I could use. Some other top tools for recruitment, Gemini, I think, is the level 1.0 level, or like a ChatGPT. Another great tool, even for sales teams, is Plod.ai. It's a little device where you could record conversations. It summarizes and could email you the notes without being on an actual meeting, or if you're in a seminar, etc. And the final one is Clay. So Clay recently raised around 40 million and has a over $1 billion valuation. Think of it as a automatic scraper with automations behind it on understanding when someone gets a new job, when someone posts a new job within our industry, and really following up and being active in the space. This is automations behind. How about a tool that can customize videos? So you could literally now have recorded one video, and a tool like SendSpark will change your voice to say each individual's name and also change the background to show their LinkedIn profile, and they'll show it skimming down. So I can record one video, the AI will transform my voice into the new person's first name, and it'll also share the person's background, for example, or website, whatever I feed into the list, and it'll change it. So pretty amazing. These bots that are coming for voice are pretty amazing as well. So according to some stat, 90% of recruiters, let me start that over. According to some stat, from who knows where, 90% of recruiters are going to be placed by 2030. Haven't we probably all heard something like this? I don't know about you, but my email and my LinkedIn has never been noisier with spam. Tons of messages targeted to me with obvious AI scripts, and I don't even open them. In fact, sometimes I unfortunately delete some real ones because there's just that much spam today. It's gotten quite insane. So I think the phone and traditional methods like actual mail, Loom videos, and personalization as much as you can are the secret to being the signal amongst the noise. So I'll leave you with this. What is your mission and vision? Our mission and vision at Talent Traction is to impact 10,000 lives over the next decade. To the leadership that is listening to this, what is your mission and vision, and is it big enough for your team to be inspired by it? I also wanted to mention a free app that we are launching, hire.talenttraction.org. This is a place that you could go that's powered by AI to help you through each of the key 5 phases of recruitment. So thank you so much.